Pump up the volume on your parenting with Parent Pump Radio. Tune into something different that makes a difference. At Parent Pump Radio, instead of a ripple, we choose to create a splash. Get energized, get inspired, and get informed with how to parent in the new millennium. With your host and parent coach super guide, Jacqueline T.D. Huynh.
Hi, this is Jacqueline T.D. Huynh. We're here to pump up your parenting skills, pump up your knowledge, and pump up your energy. Welcome to Parent Pump Radio. Our show is available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, and syndicated on missionsradio.org and oneideaaway.com. Go to parentpumpradio.com to leave your message, questions, and suggestions for future shows, and subscribe to our RS feed so you'll be automatically notified of new show. And if you're looking for a speaker or leadership development trainer for your organization or event, please go to my website at integrativeminds.com, which is in the show notes, to learn more about what I offer, or contact me at info@integrativeminds.com to schedule a meeting time. So today we have a really great show. She is the founder of the Elevate Institute. She is on a mission to dismantle the status quo of the sickness industry. Having spent most of her adult life suffering from all kinds of conditions and fighting for her sanity, she decided to take matters into her own hands. That's when everything shifted, and her body went from being the enemy to being her best friend and most devoted ally and partner. So now she teaches worldwide how sensitive people can take charge of their well-being and thrive in their lives. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my guest, Eva Vennari. Hi, Eva.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so great to have you on the show. Now, listeners, you can find Eva at theelevateinstitute.com. The website is also in the show notes. Eva, tell us where you came from and why you're so fascinated about what you do now.
It was a journey of self-discovery and not getting the satisfactory answers from what we consider to be our authority about healthcare. And I'm not a doctor. I didn't come from healthcare, not really. The closest thing I came to was being a medical transcriptionist in my 20s. But completely, I mean, that's just, admin work. But for me, I was doing regular work in the world, raising my kids, having a family, being busy, and just found myself burnt out, and not the kind of burnt out that you can just take a nap and recover from. It was cascading into a number of issues, and we're taught to go to the doctors and get some help and find out what's going on. And my results were always, well, Eva, there's not much going on here that we can really attribute to all of this. You seem like a hypochondriac. Maybe you should go get some mental help. Meanwhile, I just felt dejected, and internally, I knew something was off. It didn't make sense. So anyways, it was that search. That's where it came from. The search for true answers, the search for finding out, did I really get a lemon for a body, or can I find a way to get into alignment with it? And so that's really how what I do came to be.
How come our body attacks us like that?
That's one way to think about it, is that it's attacking us. And I think that was the conversation I had also. And it's very confusing. You're like, wow, why isn't it working right? I think that I'm doing things that are healthy, or I think that the things that I'm doing shouldn't affect it so negatively. There must be something wrong with me. And I had to, it was a long journey to correct those thought processes, the belief system around what is healthy for me, what I was giving it, what kind of sleep I was providing it, what kind of thoughts I was thinking. They were all taking away from the energy. So yeah, it's not so much that the body is attacking us, it's that the body's not getting what it needs, and it's communicating with us. And for me, I wasn't listening. And I think a lot of people don't listen.
Yes. And I'll tell more about how Eva's helped me, because we are on the same alignment when you talk about this. So then if our body's not attacking us, then it really wants to be our ally, right? So how have you come to see your body as an ally, and what made you feel like it wasn't one?
I just had this belief that the body was designed perfectly. I don't know where it came from. Just somehow it was in me all of a sudden one day, and it resonated. And when you hear something and it rings true, you're like, oh yeah, that's got to be it. It was like gut feeling. And I had never been exposed to the Eastern philosophies about the body and how it works, but somehow that just resonated with me when I thought that thought or had been exposed to something that I adopted. If you give the body what it needs, it'll heal itself. Eventually, that's what came to mind. So it was just following that belief system that brought me to the answers.
I grew up in Eastern philosophy, so I think I may embrace that side more so, but I also grew up in a Western culture. So there was a period of time where I wanted to be more like my friends. And so I pushed away meditation and mindfulness and some of the practices of what kind of food we should eat, because there's food that are warm or hot or cold. And we grew up knowing that's what we talk about in our home. Certain vegetables are cool, certain fruits are hot. Getting to know you and your program, I was like, oh my God, this is like a full circle back to what I grew up with.
Yeah, just referencing the I studied feng shui for a little bit, and you can take that and apply that to parts of the body. You can apply that to food, like you just suggested, and the yin and the yang, or that there's many ways to pronounce all of those words, but it became very clear that there's a balance internally, and then as within, so without. There's a balance externally in how it affects us, and all of that matters.
I know when I signed with you, what we did was we took a strand of my hair and we had it checked. When you explained it, it totally made sense, because we go to the doctor, they do a blood test, they do fluid tests, they do all kinds of tests in our body, but not once have they ever analyzed my hair. And then they'll also tell me, like, okay, just take a multivitamin. How is it that I'm 110 pounds and someone that's a male, 200 pounds, we should be taking the same amount of vitamins, right? Like, that just never rung true to me. Like, that doesn't make sense. Talking to you and really getting to know about the program, it made so much sense. Tell us more about why you check the hair and what it shows.
Yeah, it's a different type of test than we're used to. We're taught about blood. We're talking about, let's make sure you keep track of your blood pressure and your cholesterol levels, check those annually. And I say, well, why not test the hair? Really, because most of the time we don't know that we should, or that it exists, or why. And I find that with the hair, the blood is necessary. It's not like we're throwing away all of the technology of medicine. It's that in addition to it, to have a more complete picture of really what's going on inside the body and be specific, you can do that by looking at soft tissue. So the premise is really simple. If you're aware that give the body what it needs, it'll heal itself. Well, the question is, well, how do you know what the body needs? And what we can see in the hair is so much more, it's yet comprehensive and simple at the same time. And it's so very cool. So everything that we take in, our food, our water, what sits against our skin all day long and we absorb in, all of that is then taken into the body. It's utilized without judgment to create more of us. And then what is ever left over, the body does one of two things. It either stores it, or it dumps it out into the soft tissue, which is like a record. If you've ever seen tree rings, then you see the rings, and whether or not a year was more wet or had more pollution in the air, you could see all of that in the tree rings. Well, the same is very true for your hair as it grows out. Over about an inch's worth of growth is equivalent to about 30 days. So we can see how well your body has been rejuvenating, what it's been taking in, what it's been processing, what it is storing. And that gives us insight into digestion, what kind of foods are best for you, where your ability to create hormones are, whether or not your body is utilizing those hormones well or not. All of that can be seen quite clearly. And whether or not you're detoxing, which we need to be. We need to be getting rid of the toxins, because we don't live in bubbles, and we are exposed more and more to toxins every day, all the time. And unless the body's fortified, we will utilize those toxins, and it breaks us down, and that keeps us from being able to feel, and oftentimes goes into that, like we were talking about earlier, it gives you some emotional effects. So anyways, all of this is related. That's the long answer for why should we test the hair, to give you a more complete picture of truly what's going on in the body.
Yeah, and one of the things that when you're in pain or when you're not feeling good, you hear the word inflammation a lot. So can you explain to me about inflammation and how this works?
Yeah, I mean, inflammation was a huge buzzword. It came out, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I remember watching Oprah and Dr. Oz was introducing inflammation. Everybody was like, yeah, inflammation. So it's this thing that keeps the body into a state of fight or flight. And when you are in a state of fight or flight, when you're constantly looking to defend yourself, or you've got to go do something, be somewhere, think about something, your mind is always on something that you need to do next. Uh, that's the exact opposite state that your body needs to be in order to relax and heal. And we need to swing from one side to another to take care of our day throughout the day. And if we get stuck into a state of constant fight or flight and we're unable to relax, this is when the body stops healing. And the only time that it can is sometimes at bedtime, when we go to sleep. And then you have people who have issues with even getting to sleep. And then you're like, well, when do I rejuvenate?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it becomes a catch-22. And then it's an endless cycle. And that's where I found myself. So inflammation is something that is sustained and you're kept there by the body and your thinking processes and what you're giving it, or I should say, not giving it to calm down and heal and rejuvenate. And that's what we try to correct when we give the body.
Why is it so important for people to get the right amount of mineral and a balanced amount of mineral? Can they just take a magnesium pill?
No. No, it's great to know that we are made up of, the minerals, and we want to have them. They should be in our food, but they're unfortunately not, because of the way that we produce our food in mass quantity. Is just they're no longer as nutritious as they used to be. The density of the nutrition is not there. So you could be, and by the way, you're not born perfect. So whatever imbalances your mother had, they're passed to you. It's a 2-for-1.
Yay. And something else you can blame your parents on.
Oh goodness! I get a lot of adult children, who then introduce me to their parents. Hey, we need to do this too. It becomes a family affair. But yeah, and then we spend our whole lives overcoming those imbalances. And so you can take some minerals, like you said, you can take a multivitamin, but if you're already out of balance, like if you're already something that's off kilter, and then you just take more of everything, well, now you're just a higher level of off balance. It's like being on stilts, and you can easily be just pushed over by a cold or a flu, or taken out. People say, oh gosh, I go on vacation and then I get sick. Well, yeah, because you finally relaxed long enough for your body to deal with something that you've been trying to fend off for a long time. Anyways, yeah, it happens all the time.
So once you have that balance, and each person is different, right? Everybody's unique in what it is they need. Then your body can really start to heal, and you can be an optimal.
Yeah, it's about getting your body into a state of ongoing healing. And I call it the 4 stages of health, where we're just building up that energy. And as the first stage of taking in minerals, the body then can go through, once it has enough energy to clear out the next thing that is priority for it, it'll tear down whatever is not working, whether that's an irregular cell, a virus, a bacteria, a fungus, you name it, and then the body will clear it out. That's the 3rd stage. It says, you got to exit stage left, and then the last stage is rebuilding. And all of that takes energy, and it takes rest, and it takes awareness that this is what you're going through, and patience. People are oftentimes very impatient about their body until they realize they trust it, and they go, oh, this is doing something. I can see what you're talking about, Eva. And once they clear out of something that they needed to heal, once they're through it and out of the woods, so to speak, I'm feeling a lot better. I feel like I'm emotionally stronger. I'm able to deal with life's drama as it comes up. I can spend more time in relationships and less time thinking about what's going on and worrying about what's going on inside my body. And these are the things that I hear typically. I'm on the things that I really want to do, as opposed to constantly thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me.
And it also depletes your energy.
Yeah, it's not just the energy physically. I call it the vitality. There's a ratio that we can see. We're taking 2 minerals and we compare them against each other on the test. And you can see how much vitality there is in the body to help it get through infection, or to get through signs of inflammation, and like where the body is along that scale. And externally, that looks like, we spend a lot of time with our attention. Instead of being present, we're thinking about the regrets, the things that we didn't do properly or made mistakes because we weren't able to be present then. Like we're stealing from Peter to pay Paul, right? And then we're thinking about the future of, oh my God, I can't do that again. Or what if questions, they kill us. Yeah, if we can free up our mental energy for being present, then that can serve us so much better.
Yeah, it takes us a lot of energy just to think. If you're studying for an exam or something, they say it light up a light bulb. That's why we get tired when we're studying. The one thing I wanted to talk about was the hair test that you did, at least for me and other clients, I'm sure. It doesn't just show the deficiency in minerals, but it also shows toxin. Like we found out I had lead that was too high. Tell us what having that part of the test, how it's beneficial.
Well, you can, when you're looking at, it's a complex question that I love. I love this part of it because we're exposed to so many more toxins than what we're actually testing for on the test. We test for 6 different toxins really. And it's kind of cool to be able to see where the body is spending its energy. It's kind of laying a little peek eye into what the body's doing. So you can see if something is too high, then we know it's in our environment. We're exposing ourselves to something. When it's too low, then the body is using those toxins in a couple of ways. One, it's like a spare tire is used on a car. There's purpose to it temporarily, but you don't want to let it sit there for too long because it's going to cause problems with your alignment, et cetera, et cetera. It's like you want to get the tire replaced. And that's part of what the program does. It's an automatic and gentle, and that's the key word, gentle detoxes that will automatically displace those toxins and get them out. But you can surely see where the body's holding on to things. And we know, for instance, that aluminum, if it's stuck in the body, a lot of times people will eventually later in life develop is Alzheimer's, I believe is the one. There's things that are associated with these toxins that if we're not affected by the exposure today, but just give it 10 years.
Yeah.
And watch it develop. And so that's why when I hear people say, oh, little things in moderation, you can have everything in moderation, or I had that, but it didn't kill me in the moment. No, not yet.
Give it time.
Just give it time. Everything's got an accumulative effect. And I always think about it, I said it earlier, as a battery pack. It's like the more you can give yourself the energy to heal, the more things you do to yourself to heal and supply your body with all of that energy it needs to rejuvenate, the better off you are. And you can create higher quality cells that last longer, perform better. You're going to store less fat. You're going to burn more fuel. It's like all of these things, they just line up and your body just starts doing what it's supposed to do as it's designed. And well, gosh, that's the whole point, isn't
it? Yeah, exactly. So how would someone know they need to correct imbalances in their body if they don't even know their body is imbalanced? Because I think most people think, I'm okay. They don't know what could be better, because I know people that will do drive-through at least 3-4 times a week and they think, hey, this is great.
I know. And it's interesting. You have conversation with those same individuals and at first everything's okay, but then you get them on a thread of well, what's going on with your sleep, or what's going on with energy overall? And oh yeah, I've noticed lately I'm a little tired. Next thing you know, they've forgotten that they've started to allow for things that are signs of aging that they just figured were normal for their age.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, I just figured I was getting older. Yeah, I'm losing my hair, or I'm going gray, or my skin is getting drier, or I'm losing my eyesight, and there are probably people listening right now going, isn't that normal for age? Well, it's not normal to do all of that between the ages of 20 up to, it's like, that's what was happening to me. I was 20 years old and I was losing my eyesight. I was losing my hair. I was going gray. I was told I was infertile, all of these things very, very early. And so I say I was blessed to be so sick, so young, to learn the difference. And no, you do not have to show signs of aging. And you can be vital throughout your entire life. You don't have to be that way. So yeah, it's when you find yourself thinking, oh, well, that's just normal for my age. Stop that thought and question it. Because if you have something going on that is, well, I just figured it was because I was getting older, like indigestion, heartburn, lower back pain. That's the number one reason why people call in sick to work is low back pain.
Wow.
Like, Eva, what's that got to do with minerals in my body? Well, I'm pretty sure that's where your kidneys are. Kidneys have to detox if they don't do that properly, if they're not flushing, if there's something going on and they're stressed, then you might have an imbalance that the body's trying to deal with and it can't. So that's just one small little reason to get your hair tested.
Okay, so let's talk about the testing. Is there someone that this program is not right for? I'm sure there's somebody that should be doing it. Everything sounds great.
I know, right? It's good for a lot of people. You have to have the mindset. It's you're willing to be patient with the body, give it what it needs, and let it go through its course. If you like the idea of taking a prescription medication and you're okay with the consequences of the side effects, including death, which I think all of them. Like, have you heard the commercials lately? It's kind of crazy.
All over TV.
I know. It is really a comprehensive list, which thank you for sharing that. But I would rather not risk death. I want to stay alive. Isn't that the whole point of taking whatever medication you're taking? So having a short-sighted mindset about your health, this is not for you. If you have a serious condition such as cancer and you're choosing the Western medicine path of chemotherapy, well, that is a toxin that you're introduced to the body. You cannot then take on something like this program in addition to that, because the whole point of the chemotherapy is to be a toxin to kill things. And if you take a detox, it'll negate the effects of the cancer treatment. So yeah, we don't want to do anything to get in the way of your cancer treatment. But once you're done with cancer, you need to rebuild your immune system. This can definitely help you with that. So many people, they get the clean bill of health with their they go into remission, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
And then neglect the rebuilding of the body. And I believe, I just have a theory. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I've seen this time and time again, where somebody gets their clean bill of health, and then 4 years later, you hear that they passed away because it came back, and they didn't realize it. And I think it has everything to do with the immune system.
Yeah. And I think, like you were saying in the beginning, this is not a quick plan. You got your body this way. It took many, many years and maybe even decades, right? And that's the one thing I think with Western medicine, where you can take a pill. It's like, let's just take an aspirin because that'll make it go away. And this is not, unfortunately. Yeah.
No.
But you don't get all the side effects. Impotence. I mean, there's so many. Heart disease.
I know.
Oh my God. It's just, the list goes on and on all these pharmaceutical.
Pretty insane. Chemicals are received a little bit differently in the body as it systemically goes. And I say I'm not a doctor. I do know the difference, though, between a chemical and systemic change in the body that's introduced through a medicine, as opposed to one that we create ourselves. We have the most powerful pharmaceutical factory right inside our bodies. And if we just give it the fuel that it needs, it will go to work and do its own thing.
Yeah.
It always amazes me that people, they understand when their car runs out of gas, they know to take it to the gas station. But when our bodies run out of gas, if you take that same analogy and apply it and say, okay, we're the car that we're out of gas, we tend to get behind it and push it everywhere instead, with our coffee and our Adderall and whatever else we want to take. And we forget, to speed up, we're going to push it. To slow it down, we're going to drink some wine or a shot of tequila or something.
It's like, no, it just needs sleep. Right? Then people start taking caffeine because they need that energy. I mean, teenagers, my daughter is in ninth grade, but we're talking 11, 12 years old who are having Starbucks coffee in the morning to keep them going. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is this world turning to? Because that's an addiction that you're creating. And also it depletes, like you said, bodies from minerals and things that should be absorbed.
And it's something they're learning that from their parents. So their parents get up in the morning, they make that big pot of coffee. They have 2 or 3 cups before they go to work. So they're thinking, oh, well, I can do that too. Well, and like I said earlier, now that you've got the imbalances passed from mother to child in the womb, so whatever imbalances mom has is making her need coffee, now their kids need it too. Yeah, they just go hand in hand. And so there's the mindset shift that has to happen, to be more mindful about what we do to ourselves and take responsibility for our health, rather than placing it outside of ourselves and saying, oh, the doctor has me, I'm fine. I'm on my medication. I don't need to worry about what's going on. He's done my tests. He's told me, or she's told me what I need to do, rather than taking the initiative. And that's what I'm all about. It's like let's take the initiative. Let's really learn what the body needs, understand how to communicate with it in return, listen to its signs and symptoms as communication. Stop trying to kill those signs and symptoms, thinking that that's the cure for the symptom, and look at what's underneath it. Let's find out what's the cause.
Yeah, and the one thing I love about working with you is that you understand that the mind has a lot to really, it controls our whole body. We don't feel pain unless our brain says, oh, that's painful, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to connect our mind and our spirit to the body. And you're really good about that, acknowledging that we have to also acknowledge our emotion. And we know from many research that stress is a major factor when it comes to pain, disease. Over 90% of, they say, disease has stress related. So then that goes to really, what if you're stressed, then it's really emotions. And you really helped me acknowledge that too when we were talking the first time, because you know about childhood trauma. You have some experience in your training about that. So I remember us talking about what trauma you had as a child and how could this also relate to how your body's feeling. And I think those are questions that are very important. And not just looking at the physical pain. We've got to connect it, the dots. And the Western doctor, I think, only acknowledges the physical.
They do what I call stay in their lane, which is helpful for diagnosing. And that's their purpose, is to diagnose. Unfortunately, it's not to heal, it's to diagnose and to treat. And take them for what they are. And I don't discount Western medicine at all. If I hurt myself and I need surgery to, put me back together, please do it right.
Yeah. If I break a bone, please put the bone back.
Right, exactly. I want that. But when it comes to the processes of the body and what I call the triad, the Trinity, right? Your body is the base of it. And the more it can be free of toxins and running in a more fortified way, the more we can have a clear mind, and the more we can be truly intuitive and feel through our emotions and understand that it's our thoughts that create the emotions. I mean, there's all these things that they go together. And when you can capture a moment, when you have the energy, you're no longer spending time worrying about what's going on inside the body. And suddenly you find yourself feeling terrible and realizing that it's because of thought that just passed through your head, that now you have the energy to realize and recognize and go, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to stop that thought because now I feel bad as a result of it. And now you can have energy to ferret it out and find out really what's going on there, and let that heal, whatever that is. Right. And that's the process. Is I find that a lot of people, they'll start with me on the physical. We're looking at test and we're talking about minerals, and in short order, and sometimes it's within a couple of weeks of the first test, and other times it's a year out. All of a sudden we're talking about relationships, and what does the look on that face mean when a person does that? It's like they're learning relationshiping all over again, because the pain has kept them from being anything other than inside themselves.
I think I told you offline that I read the book Heal Your Back by Dr. John Sarno, but that's what he talks about. He's been a pain doctor for decades, and he talks about how over 80% of his clients heal from pain, some of them instantly, once they acknowledge the emotion and heal the emotion. And a lot of times I think we, like you said, they don't work hand in hand, the medical doctors and the therapists, that it's connected in that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like taking your car. I mean, we have the specialists for the car, the brake person and the carburetor person, whatever, but they have to speak to each other at some point.
Right.
In order for the whole car to work properly. It's just like, and the same thing is true for us. It's like we have to allow for the consciousness and our bodies to be one. And without sounding too woo-woo, I believe that's very, very true. It all works together. There is no separateness.
There is none. Yeah. And you really do have to listen to your intuition, because I know when doctors were telling me, like, we don't understand why you're in this pain. It doesn't make sense. It wasn't that bad. And they're like, okay, no, then this is really from your herniated disc. And I'm like, no, that may be it, but there's something more. I remember calling you saying, it's deeper. Eva, it's deeper than that. And so we got even deeper into emotional, even spiritual, like, am I living my purpose in life? Or is there a message that I'm not hearing that I need to change my purpose or something? So we can get really woo-woo, but like you said, it's all connected. So before we go down that path, because that could be another show, let's talk about your gift. You have a free gift.
Oh,
for our
yeah.
listeners.
Well, you mentioned earlier, how would people know if it's right to get their hair tested? And I came up with a free tool, and it's a self-assessment for thyroid. And it's a series of questions. And you go to my website, theelevateinstitute.com. There's a link to it right there in the front. You can't miss it. And you can simply put in your email address. It'll email you the questions. And it really comes down to this: if you're finding yourself thinking, oh, I am having these issues we talked about earlier, where I've accepted some signs of aging as being normal, and you want to find out, well, maybe they are related to an imbalance. If you do this questionnaire, just a couple of questions, if you answer yes to just a couple, chances are that there's an imbalance that needs to be corrected. And I got to say this, I've had very skeptical people get their hair tested thinking, I'm pretty sure I'm just verifying that I'm fine.
Yeah.
100% people are out of alignment. We're just exposed to too much toxins. And if we're guessing through taking some sort of detox protocol, 10-day detox, 2-day detox, whatever, I guarantee you're scratching the surface on those. It's great to have that mindset, but this is going to take some deep work. And that's the only thing. This is the only thing that I know that can recover from that. So you can find out, if this is right for you. Check through the questions, self-assess, and that's probably the best way to get to know if you want to get the test done.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know once I started on this is my 4th week on the program, and I definitely feel a difference. And like you and I said, you can't just stick to the vitamins and think your life is going to change. You're going to have to acknowledge what you're eating, because that's part of the program, what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and is in alignment with your spiritual purpose in life. And I've had to take a hard look, and with your programming, the last 4 weeks, I tell people I'm like 100% better than I was before I started. And now I feel like I'm probably 60% recovered from my injury and my pain, and it just gets better every day.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I wanted to not only be your interviewer, but at least also be your testimonial.
Thank you. Yeah, there was a lot of faith that went behind that on your part to go, okay, well, this sounds like it makes sense, but I'm not sure. So now you're experiencing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a combination. You realize the pain is less. I'm able to think clearer of what I want to do, and I'm just more excited about the new steps that I'm taking. Absolutely. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So again, Eva's website is theelevateinstitute.com. It's in the show notes along with her email, which is eva@self, N like Nancy, C like Charlie.com. And again, Eva, thank you so much.
Thank you. Absolutely. I love this conversation, and I appreciate being here with you and all of your guests.
Thank you. And listeners, until next time, always be learning and always be growing.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Go to parentpumpradio.com and click on the pink box on the top of our homepage to listen to our new and archived shows. To be instantly notified of new episodes, subscribe to our RSS feed. The RSS feed button is located at the top of the page where all our shows are featured. And after listening to the show, go to parentpumpradio.com or our Facebook page to leave your comments, questions, and topic suggestions. And while you're at our website, sign up to receive a free gift. Until next time, have a wonderful week.